Very good. Thank you, Scott. Good evening. I will call to order the Finance Committee of March 12th, 2024. And so that was the first item. The second item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve draft minutes of the February 27th, 2024 Finance Committee meeting?
I move to approve.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Gerhardt. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Item 3, public appearances, non-agenda items. We have no one online, Scott. All right, and no one registered in chambers. Moving on to item 4, Finance Director report. I will turn this over to our Finance Director, Misty Dodge. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Included in the packet tonight are 2 documents. First is the TID 4 final audit. So that audit has been completed. End of the day, it was a really successful TID. The base value started at $49 million. The final value when we closed it was $292 million. So 6 times what that original base value was. Included in the packet is the final audit itself, and then also the final accounting report that I have to file with the Department of Revenue. In total, the district collected about $53 million worth of taxes over the life of the district. And at the end, when we closed it, we had almost $16 million worth of excess increment that was collected, and that has all been shared with the overlying jurisdictions. The city's share was $5.7 million. So very successful TID, closed it. We also kept it open for that extra year for the Affordable Housing Fund, which was just shy of $5 million that got put into there. So a great financial tool for the city. The other document that's included in there is the final rate order. So we've talked a couple of times about that rate case through the PSC that the water utility completed. We did have our public hearing in the middle of February, and the PSC has released its final order. The total rate increase, or the total revenue increase, is 7.92%. The average single-family home water utility bill will go up 10%. This is the process where we submit all of our information to the PSC. They do their analysis, and they dictate to us what our rates are going to be. So good to have this project done. Those rates, the implementation is a little bit later than what we planned. We had planned to implement 1/1 due to the volume of requests from the PSC and the number of questions. That's now been delayed. So these rates will be effective April 1st. So not the bills that people get in March, but the bills that people get in June. We'll have these new rates on it. Other than that, next week I'm going to be on spring break, as is Chad. So Robert will be here to represent us. 26th, 25th, whatever the next meeting is.
2 weeks
next
out.
Next meeting, not next week. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, counting those days.
All 3 years. Yeah, we can make that happen. I feel like I have permission now, right? I just say that this is what we're doing, and we just go. Next meeting, thank you. And then the other big news, of course, is the auditors are here right now. So hence why I'm in 3 years at the moment. So 23 is what we have closed, and they're going through the audit on. Hopefully that continues to go smoothly. Staff has been great about being responsive to the auditors, make sure that they get what they need, and that the documentation is thorough. Next steps in that process would be the final audit report. It's scheduled to come to Finance Committee the second meeting in May. And then it has to be done by the end of June in order for us to submit for that award that we plan to submit for again this year. That is it.
Very good. Any questions from the committee? All right. Hearing none, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda is review of bills. 5A, detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above for the period of February 16th to the 29th, 2024, totaling $1,087,255.79. Questions, discussion from the committee? Seeing none, I'll move on to the next item, 5B, detailed review of ACH payments for $10,000 and above for the period of February 1st to the 29th, 2024, totaling $643,676.61. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 6, action items. 6A.
We can interrupt
I will
quick.
turn this right over to Misty Dodge, yes.
Thank you. So we're having some delays in the contracting process for this item, so staff recommends that it gets postponed to the next meeting on March 26th.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to postpone this to the next meeting.
All right, a motion for postponement was made by Alder Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving on to the next action item, 6B. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-19-24 approving First Amendment to the Agreement for Engineering Services for Fitchburg Road reconstruction?
I move approval.
All right. A motion for approval made by Alder Gerhart, and I see Tim on the screen. So, Tim, the floor is yours.
Thank you. The Fitchburg Road Taunton Trail to Nesbitt Road is being reconstructed to an urban section to replace deteriorating pavement, increase capacity, and improve safety. Resolution R-26-23 approved a contract with AECom for engineering services for the reconstruction. The original contract amount of $290,100 included design of an all-way stop controlled intersection at Fitchburg Road and Lacey Road. It was determined by staff that a roundabout was a better long-term solution for this intersection, which necessitated additional street and stormwater design, lighting, and survey work. In addition to this additional work, we had to incorporate the remaining 450 feet of Lacey Road. So where the intersection of Fitchburg and Lacey is, the last 450 feet was not part of the Lacey Road project. So the original scope of work for AECom did not have that 450-foot section included. So in order to finish up the very western end of Lacey, we want to incorporate that into the Fitchburg Road project. And then with this resolution, there are three budget amendments. The first is for $655. We're looking to redirect the maintenance of arterials project to redirect the $650 to Fitchburg. The second budget amendment is to redirect $5,880 from professional services in the water utility fund. And this will help design the Lacey to Nesbitt water main, or basically to the Fitchburg Road project here. And then lastly, the third budget amendment is redirecting $10,285 of the stormwater rate funding from the Lake Barney watershed project to this Fitchburg Road project. With that, does anyone have any questions?
No, seeing none. All right, very good. Seeing that there's no questions or discussion, I'll place the motion before us then to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. And I must apologize, Tim. I should have announced, for those that do not know, Tim Volker is our Director of Public Works and Engineering. So thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item. Item 6, lost my place, 6C. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-22-24, amending the 2024 Capital Projects Fund budget, Hillside Heights Playground relocation?
I move approval.
All right, we have a motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler. And I see Scott. Scott is our Director of Public our Parks. The floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you. This is the Parks Department's proposed final step to correct our mistake in placing the new playground, which was installed in 2022 in Hillside Heights Park, too close to the stormwater facility. So that's what this resolution will help us achieve.
Very good. I think we've all been involved in this particular project, and we're well versed in it. Questions, discussion?
Can I actually add a little bit more, if that's okay?
Yes, you
There
may.
is a budget amendment included in here that's going to take a 2/3 vote when it gets to council. There's an old park CIP project that we'd like to close out into the new park CIP project, and then get the authority to spend that money on park projects as directed by the CIP, under the direction of the director.
Very good. Any questions? Yes, Alder Gerhart.
Yeah, so the cost of the relocation is $12,700, and then the remaining funds, less that, the $41,000 or so that we're moving, less that will be just used for other park projects. Okay, great.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing no additional questions, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Scott. Next item, 6D. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-30-24, approving purchase of 2024 radios and water meters?
I move approval.
All right. Alder Gerhart has motion for approval. And Misty, are you speaking to this item?
Actually, Tim is here. He's
Oh, there's
open to
Tim.
it.
Thank you, Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Thank you. Through a quality-based selection process, the utility selected the Census Advanced Metering Infrastructure System for water meter reading back in 2011. The AMI system includes a fixed network system, a meter data management system, and census radios and iPearl meters. Each year, the utility budgets for the census radios and iPearl meters for new construction and for replacements. There are funds in the budget for this project, so we're looking for council to authorize $56,655 of the water utility funds for the purchase of water meters and radios from Core and Maine.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Questions, discussion from the committee? All right. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Moving on to the next item, 6E. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-33-24, amending the 2024 Capital Projects Fund Budget? This is City Solar.
I move approval.
All right. Motion made by Alder Wheeler. Tim, are you speaking to this one as well? Misty?
I can.
It's up to you. You want to or you want me to?
It doesn't matter, Misty. You can if you want.
You can go right ahead.
Sure. Well, so there are 4 solar inverters are currently non-functional. Require replacement for the city's full rooftop solar photovoltaic array to be maximally productive. The city received a settlement from Wuwa Technologies, which was approved by Resolution R-215-23 that was deposited into the city's solar CIP project back in 2023 to fund current and future non-functional inverters. The original purchase of the expanded solar array on the various city buildings was also partially funded by excess increment from the closure of TID number 7. So some of the TID number 7 closure funding for solar remains unspent in the CIP project and can also be used to replace inverters as needed. So we're looking for council to amend the 2024 Capital Projects Fund budget to allow for the remaining $46,441 of the CIP project to be spent on the solar equipment replacement project.
All right. Very good. Discussion from the committee. Questions? Alder Gerhart.
So what was the total cost of the settlement from the company was around close to $12,000, but what is the total cost of the inverter replacement? It's a $59,000? Is that it?
It looks like, so on page 121, Phil Groupie put together a really thorough memo. So it looks like at the end there, the total replacement cost is $19,125.
Oh, I thought.
I think, is it all of the inverters? Might be the 59,000 as they
Yeah.
break. So we'll have
That's
some
what I was just-
available to replace them as
This will be
those
ongoing.
continue to break. that might be the 59,000.
Okay,
But I think what we have to do now is the 20,000.
okay. But we're shifting 46,000 in that fund.
Correct.
And that's not just for the inverters, that's for,
So the intention would be to use it for the inverters, so do the ones that are broken now, for sure.
Okay.
Use the settlement money as well as the leftover TID 7 money. And then as the other inverters break, replace them using this pot of money as well. At
Okay.
some point, that money will run out, and we might need to budget for additional money to do the rest of them, though we're hopeful that at least some of the inverters will last a little bit longer.
great, thank you.
All right, additional questions? Further? Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. All right, moving on to the next item. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-34-24? That's the 2024 Payment Services Network Fees.
I move approval.
All right, motion for approval made by Alder Gerhart. Misty? All right.
So PSN is the vendor we use to accept credit card payments, primarily for the utilities, but also for a couple other services, though those fees are passed on. So this is the annual pre-approval to continue that relationship with PSN. The one weird thing is that the intention was to split the cost between the sewer utility and the water utility 50-50 as of the first of the year. But as we talked about before, under my report, the water rate case was delayed. And so we can't make that change to charge half of that to the water utility until those water rates are effective in April. So included in here is a budget amendment to be able to pay for the first 3 months 100% out of sewer, as we have done historically.
Very good. Discussion. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Moving on to the next resolution, G, 6G. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-35-24? That's the 2024 purchase of chemicals.
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler.
Tim, you want to do this one?
Tim, yeah.
Sure. The resolution R-35-24 is for the 2024 purchase of chemicals. Chlorine is added to the city's water system to ensure safe drinking water, and fluoride is added to prevent tooth decay. So we're looking for council to authorize the purchase of these two chemicals from Hawkins Chemical and authorize an amount not to exceed $56,000 for the purpose of water treatment.
All right, very good. Thank you, Tim. Questions, discussion? Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, Tim. Moving on to the next item, 6H. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-36-24, approving professional services for Tower Hill Park Shelter Renovation Project? And this is a direct referral.
I move approval.
Right, motion for approval made by Alder Gerhart. Scott, you're speaking to this item?
Please, yep.
All right, go ahead.
We did do an RFP, and we did receive 3 professional service proposals, and all of those proposals were reviewed by staff, and staff is recommending Angus Young for this work at a not-to-exceed price of $37,500. That price does include a 10% contingency, and just for further reference, Angus Young has done other projects within the Parks Department. They assisted with the McKee Farms Park shelter renovation along with the McGaw Park shelter renovation, and they also worked on the construction of the new Hugo Jamestown Park shelter, which was constructed a couple years ago. Just as a note, the Tower Hill Park shelter was originally constructed in 1973. So, and it is used heavily. Last year, it was reserved 43 times for rentals during the summer season.
Very good discussion from the committee. Go ahead, Alder Gerhart.
Yeah, very happy that this is getting done. I just did want to clarify. I thought that we were doing a replacement of the shelter and not a renovation. So I guess I misunderstood.
Yep, it's just a renovation, and the idea is it's going to be basically in the same location. We're really trying to maintain the current theme of the shelter, but certainly with being constructed in 1973, the bathrooms, we're going to redo the bathrooms, which may need some additional space for ADA and those types of things. So the idea of maybe extending the shelter away from the road to accommodate that, along with potentially a little bit larger open space area on the opposite side of the road, if you're familiar with it. But no, it is just going to be a renovation, similar to what we did at McGaw with the McGaw Park shelter, which really turned out nice.
Great. If I'm not mistaken, we did budget for this. This was a budget amendment, and I was taking a look. It looks like we put $325,000 aside for this.
325, correct.
So I guess we got some extra TID closure money to play with, or is this?
No.
So the 325, there isn't a budget amendment associated with this. The 325 is the whole project. This is just design.
Design.
So there'll
The
be construction
design.
coming later.
Thank you. Okay, so the total cost of the project is going to be in that realm,
Under 325.
under 300, but this is the design only.
Including these professional services.
Thank you
fees.
for
You're
clarifying.
welcome.
The entire package, yeah.
Great.
You're welcome.
And how many days was it reserved for? 43 out of
43,
something like that. I drive by often and on weekends in the summer, and it's always
Yeah,
occupied, which is great.
yeah.
What do you look at? Do you look at 365 and 43 out of those days? And I mean,
well, it's basically, I would judge it by, June, July, August, September.
So you really go with
on-
the months that
yep,
the restroom
on
is
the
open.
weekends.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
June, July, August, September, 4, so.
yeah, the reason I'm asking is will this be like Hugo Jamestown, which is a wonderful facility? Will you be able to close off?
No.
Is it still will it still
It'll
have that
be-
open air?
Yep, open
Okay.
air. Yep.
Okay, all right, just curious. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, is there additional questions? Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us then to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, Scott. Next item, 6I. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-37-24, approving the purchase of 2 John Deere 1585 mowers?
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler. And Scott left, so Chad's stepping up. Is he going to speak to this?
There's Tim.
Oh, Tim.
I can speak to it.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
Sure. So Resolution R-37-24 is approving the purchase of the 2 John Deere 1585 mowers. So the 2024 Parks Equipment Replacement Account has funding for replacing their 2016 John Deere 1585 mowers. There is $223,503 budgeted in 2024 for equipment replacement. So Sloan Implement provided a quote for the 2 John Deere mowers based off the Sourcewell contract in the amount of $95,798.50. So we're looking for council to approve the purchase of the 2 John Deere mowers, and also looking for authorization for the Public Works to sell them at the Wisconsin surplus if no other city department has a use for them. And then with that, does anyone have any questions?
Hearing none. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you, Tim. Next item, 6J. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-42-24, Fire Department 2024 Annual DANECOM Radio Maintenance?
I move approval.
All right. Motion for approval made by Alder Gerhardt.
Good evening, everyone. The item you have in front of you is the annual maintenance and upkeep for the radio systems that our public safety teams and even our public works team actually utilizes as well. The contract is with General Communications, which is a Fitchburg-based business over on the west side of town. They will maintain the radio equipment for this calendar year.
All right, very good. Thank you, Chad Brecklin, City Administrator. Questions, discussion? Yes, Alder Gerhart.
Just curious about why this is not going to council until March 26th. Because it looks like it was referred out today. I saw it on the consent agenda for council. So,
That's an excellent question.
It's a great
It looks like
question.
It's here early.
yeah, I don't know if we want to postpone it. I don't know.
Ultimately, the committee is welcome to. So as you point out, so council hasn't officially referred it out to finance yet, so it is early. If you would prefer to postpone it to the next meeting.
Is there some protocol that we're...
I've never had this happen before.
Because that technically would be a direct referral, I guess, for us, because it was never. I don't know. I just noticed it was on the consent agenda for council. So.
No, that's an excellent question.
Yeah.
The only question I would have is the time sensitive?
No, it's scheduled to come back to council action at the next meeting anyway.
Next meeting.
So why don't, that's a good idea. Let's postpone it for this meeting. Well, I guess only Chad and I are both going to be gone at the next meeting is the only other consideration.
I'm kind of curious how the technology allowed this to happen, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's never happened. in
because
years.
usually on base is pretty good when you put the inputs in. So this is definitely one that's odd. Because I was just looking at the council agenda and confirming that, yeah, it sure is on the consent agenda.
And it's not user error, right?
Is it possible to...
Anything is possible.
Is it possible to separate out from the consent agenda and... well, I don't know why we'd do that then. Well,
I think probably the safest avenue to take is to postpone it.
sure.
All right.
To the 26th, and then obviously, hopefully, one of you could maybe speak to what this is. I mean, it's something that the city has done for probably the better part of 10 years.
You don't want to zoom in?
No.
I'm not sure I'll have strong enough Wi-Fi capabilities.
How that works.
All right, so I'm going to
Go ahead,
rescind my motion, and I'll move to postpone Resolution R4224 to the March 26th Finance meeting.
All right, very good. I'll place the motion before us then to postpone until the next meeting, which is the 26th. Further discussion. All right, I'll place the motion to a vote then. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. This resolution is postponed until the 26th. Moving on to the next item, which is 6K. Do I have a motion to move Resolution R-45-24, approving professional services agreement with, is it Allison Brunette Consulting, LLC, for strategic planning services? And this is a direct referral.
I move approval.
All right, motion for approval made by Alder Wheeler.
So what you have in front of you is a request, a contract for strategic planning services. A bit of background on that is, as you will likely recall, through the ARPA TID investment plan process, the city council reserved funding for a strategic plan that could be implemented for the entire city. As the city has not ever had a strategic plan that anyone here is aware of, at least currently on staff. So the city put out a request for proposals back in early January, and we received 13 proposals from companies across the nation to that particular RFP. Then we had a work group established consisting of, I think, approximately 5 or 6 city staff who evaluated all of the 13 proposals, identified 3 of the proposals that we wanted to move on. We ultimately did video conferenced interviews with those 3 vendors that moved on in the process, and continued to, through conversation and assessment with the work group, ultimately are recommending Allison Brunette Consulting Services for this particular project. I will point out that I think we estimated the cost to be approximately $100,000, and you'll see that this request is for less than $50,000. So this, in addition to being the best proposal, was also the most cost-effective proposal that was submitted.
Very good. Thank you, Chad. I'll open it up to the committee for discussion. Questions? Yes, Alder Wheeler, go ahead.
Just a comment. I'm glad to see that this is moving along. I think for a city that's kind of as young as Fitchburg, 40 years, it's about due, especially for the expansion that's occurring right now. I mean, we need some guidance on how the city will expand. So I am so glad this is going through.
Very good. Yes, Alder Gerhart, go ahead.
And just to clarify, I mean, I know this was just for the public, this is very much an internal process to the city, right? The focus groups are internal groups within the city and not external.
So the general process right now, and we're still refining a few things, is that there'll be some one-on-one interviews with all of the department heads as well as all of our elected officials. So each council member will have an interview with the consultant. There will also be a survey sent out to council members as well as city employees. And then there will be an opportunity for some focus groups of external stakeholders as well. So we'll be looking probably to engage with council to see if you have any suggestions on folks we may want to consider for those focus groups. And then finally, we're also looking to tentatively schedule a workshop, actually potentially 2 workshops that will include department heads and elected officials as well. So I think it appears that it's going to be a rather robust process, seeking input from a variety of different stakeholders, ultimately with the goal to identify, again, the strategic initiatives the city is looking to seek over the next 5 years, and hopefully also prioritizing those initiatives, because we know that there's always a significant list of things we want to do and would like to do, but not always either the capacity or the financial ability to do all of those things. So I think that this will be hopefully one of the biggest components that comes out of it is what we want to do and what priority.
Great.
All right, further discussion. Hearing none, I'll place the motion before us then to a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Again, thank you, Chad. Next item, item 7, announcements. The next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for March 26, 2024. And moving on to our final item on the agenda, and that's adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, motion made by Alder Gerhart for adjournment. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.